Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm so glad to be spending a Friday morning here on the West Coast with you. My guest is at the opposite time zone, and I think she might be drinking wine, which I'm so jealous about because I, of course, am drinking my morning refreshing water. I'm also so glad to hear that you were spared from the hurricane. I've seen pictures, and it just looks so not fun. Oh, and Houston, Texas. Yeah, that's so scary too. I
Yeah.
think Houston was spared too, but I saw pictures of Murder by the Book, like putting plastic bags all over the books and everything. So I hope wherever you are safe this morning, and you have something fun planned for the weekend. I cannot wait to introduce you to my guest this morning. I will probably just gush forever because she has been such a mentor and a friend to me from a writerly perspective. But more than anything, she's literally just one of the best people on the planet.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm not even
just,
kidding about that.
it's just,
I first met Hannah Dennison, who's my guest this morning, many years ago when we were both living in Portland, Oregon. And since then, actually at about the same time, we both left Portland. She returned to her English village. She is actually British. I'm sure that's how she says it too. She's going to kill me for that one. She returned to her English countryside village, and I moved to Ashland, Oregon, which is about as close as you can get to an English village in the United States,
yeah.
especially here on the West Coast. I was so thrilled last year when she sent me an early copy of her brand new book, her new series that is out now, Death at High Tide. I mean, come on, look at that cover. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with it. I devoured this book. I know that you all know that I am a fan of anything that is set in England. I'm definitely an Anglophile. And this one, though, I also felt like it had touches of the Durrells in Corfu. Has anyone seen that luscious PBS masterpiece? It is like modern day masterpiece theater, I think, because it's set on the Greek Isles. And I feel like there are touches of this in High Tide, along with, of course, just the whole Agatha Christie locked room vibe and Two Sisters. And it's just really fresh and lovely. So I'm super excited. Um, Arzani said she's reading and listening to Murder at Honeychurch. It's so great. Yes, Hannah writes multiple
Thank you.
series, so we'll get her to talk about that. Her Honeychurch Hall series is fantastic. You just bought your first Hannah Dennison book this morning. Yay. So you'll have a lot to know. Audrey's reading it right now. Oh, yay, y'all. Okay. I can't really get away with saying y'all, actually. As I'm saying that, I'm like,
I
no,
like
that doesn't
it.
really work. Okay. So without further ado, let's invite on Hannah Dennison. Hello.
Hello. And it seems so crazy. I'm so far away on the other side of the world, and it's just like you're in my sitting room. So here we are.
And you're drinking wine.
I am drinking, but it's very small. Please note, very small glass. 3 fluid ounces because I measured
Okay.
it. But
That's
I
fair.
have three. I have three. So I should really just have a large glass. But anyway,
But then you have three in like nice
I
succession.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's perfect. Yeah. So I pace myself. So thank you for
Okay,
asking me
so
today, buddy.
did you hear me talking about the Durrells in Corfu? Have you seen
I
it yet?
did. Yeah, I love the Durrells and Corfu. Yeah, I really do like that. And yeah, it's I remember reading it when I was a teenager actually.
Oh, did you
I
read
remember,
them?
yeah, I did. It was really cute. And I thought they did a great job of making it into a TV series. Yeah, I love it. So
Okay, so I was saying, I live in the fake version of an English village of Ashland, but you
I
really
love
are
that.
home in England. So tell us about what it's like being in a true English village.
There's a lot of gossip, of course, but
Of
it's actually
course.
I live in a hamlet, in fact. There are only 17 little houses in this very, very small hamlet, which is about 3 miles from Totnes, if anyone is familiar with the medieval town of Totnes in Devon. There is one bus that goes once a week, and this was before COVID. And so lots of sheep and very nice neighbors. I spend a lot of my time walking in the fields and down the green lanes and everything like that. So it's really lovely, actually. Yeah, I'm very happy to be home. Very happy.
So is the gossip potential fodder for a future mystery?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I think it's because there's not much else to do here, really. If the yeah, I mean, the main village, the main town of Totnes is really quite nice. It's quite lovely. It's got a market and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the village, we've just got the pub and where everyone congregates. And I think they were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing at the beginning of COVID, and they called it the COVID bar. Where people drink after hours. But I didn't go because
No.
my mom's very old, actually. My mom's 90, so I wouldn't want to jeopardize anything for her. So I've been very good. I've been hunkered down with my dogs, which hopefully won't bark, actually.
And your wine. I mean, you have your lovely little 3 ounces of wine. So what else do you need?
I have to say, I do love the fact that I can turn on the TV and immediately get English programming, because I did miss that when I lived in the States. I just devoured everything to do with England because I did miss it a lot. So, yeah.
Do you find that your writing's different now that you're back home?
I think I'm more prolific, which surprises me because I'm not like you. You're like a demon. You just like churn them out so quickly. You're so good. I can't do that. But I definitely feel I've got more of the headspace here to write. Because I still have my job. I kept my job in Los Angeles virtually. So at night, I tend to work on that, which I've worked there for 20 odd years now, which is quite a long time. And so I'm able to write during the day. So it's almost in reverse, because when I was working full time, I was writing at night or very early in the morning. So I think maybe that might have something to do with it, because I have the whole, I get up really early and I write all day. So that's good.
That's so good.
Yeah, and great a lot of food and stuff.
Tell us a little bit about the new book.
Yes, I actually, a friend of my sister's, she was the human resources person for this island called Tresco in the Isles of Scilly. And when I first started talking about the Isles of Scilly, people said, "Oh, Italy." But it's actually the Isles of Scilly, I know. And it's about 28 miles off the southwest Cornish coastline. And Jill, her name is Jill, she just said to me that she was there for 8 years. It was a very tiny 2 mile by 1 mile resort. And people who were the seasonal staff, would either be running away from someone or hiding from something. That was how she described it. Apart from the islanders, of course, who've been there forever, the Solonians, as they call themselves. And I just thought that was a very interesting concept, to be able to set something where I'd have that sort of the opportunity to have different characters coming in. Because at my Honeychurch series, I'm quite kind of trapped a little bit because it's on a country estate. But now I'm including more things like the village, and it's like Hogwarts, where don't you think with Harry Potter, it just got bigger and bigger the whole time. So that I'm determined. I don't want to make that same mistake with this new series. But even then, I get stuck because I made it tidal, and so I have to have tide times to see when they can get on and off the island. So when you said about the locked room, that's definitely it. So, and then I thought about I have a sister, and I thought writing about two sisters would be great because we're so opposite, she and I. And I keep telling her that the other sister, Margot, who's the protagonist, is Evie Mead, and her sister's a Hollywood film producer, which I wasn't a film producer, but I did work in Hollywood for a number of years. So in a way, I'm like a schizophrenic. So I'm both the characters. I'm the sort of gentle side of myself, and also the bit of the superficial side as well. And so I'm always interested in siblings as well, and family dynamics. So, Honeychurch has mother-daughter. This one has two sisters. And so that's been an interesting sort of experience, actually, because a lot of the things I write about, they've triggered memories of how close we were when we were growing up. And then we obviously grew apart when I moved to America. And so it's also like reconnecting too. And I find that my sister used to call me Eeyore the whole time, which was really irritating to me, because I think she brought that side out of me. I was like very like, which me. I don't think I'm.
You're
like
not
that.
At all. No, I don't think of you as Eeyore.
Oh, you're Eeyore, but she's Tigger, and she drives me nuts. She's like so. It's like a force of nature the whole time. So it's a good combination, for the two characters. So I've had a lot of fun with that. And of course, there's murder, needless to say.
Of course, there's murder. Mary says she loves sister stories. And if you love sister stories, Mary, this is definitely the book for you, because you're really, in this first book, you're setting up the relationship between them.
Yes, exactly.
And I suspect that that's just going to grow as the series continues, right?
Yes, it does. Because I also found, as I was talking to you earlier, that I just turned in the second book in the series, and I had to do a major rewrite because both my editor and agent both felt that the relationship between the sisters wasn't in the direction that it was going. It had become almost like static, and instead, I think it's because I'm also reconnecting with my own sister. So I felt that a lot of that was in the book too, about, remembering things that were annoying, or even just how any family member pushes buttons. I mean, let's face it, they know exactly what to say.
Always, yeah.
Always. But at the same time, you just know that there's that unconditional, port in a storm if anything ever goes wrong. And my life turned upside down, and my sister was just amazing. She found the place. I'm renting an old barn, but it's converted, by the way. It's not like I'm sharing conditions. And so she was great. So she's really paved the way for me.
That's lovely. Lorraine says that she has a sister that they call Eeyore as well.
Oh, good. And is she like Eeyore or not? I need to know, because I think I'm an optimist. Wait, I'm a realistic optimist, I think I want to say.
Yeah.
So, I'm optimistic, but in a realistic way, I think.
Yeah.
And so that could be translated as a pessimist. I don't think I'm a pessimist.
I don't think you're a pessimist. No, definitely not. No,
especially after the wine. I'm very, very excited about everything, actually. So
okay, so I tasked you with coming up with 5 things to share with readers. Yes. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us, what is your number 1? I think it might have something to do with Steven Spielberg. Am I right?
Yes, you are. And I was a flight attendant many years ago, and I had a choice of on private jets, like 8-seater jets and stuff. And I had the choice of either flying Prince Charles or Harrison Ford and Steven Spielberg. No brainer, to be honest. But at the time, I wasn't really interested in film or anything like that. I was just a single mom. I was, trying to make a living, trying to support my daughter. And I went and I did the location flights for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And they were amazing. And so I got to know Stephen very well. Stephen, first name terms. Stephen and I. And we sort of got talking once on a flight back. It was like a night flight. And I was telling him about being a single mom. And I think he was still married to Amy Irving at the time. And he was just telling me about my dreams. He said, "What's your dream job? What would you like to do more than anything in the entire world?" And I said, "Well, I'd really like to write." I said, "But, I can't see that happening. I don't think I can make a living out of it. I wouldn't know where to begin." And he said about, taking that leap of faith. And we'd just done that shot with the Indiana Jones where Harrison Ford takes that leap off that ravine because his father's on the other side and the bridge came up. I don't know if you remember that part in the movie.
Yes, I do.
It was dramatic. It was like taking that leap of faith and the bridge will appear. So he, talked to me about this. And I thought, well, I just can't see that happening. But then I made that an intention to do that leap of faith. And it's such a long story, I won't bore you now, but it's a really good one. And then I end up in Los Angeles and I have a job in a film company and I'm writing and all this kind of stuff. And when he won the Schindler's List, Academy Awards for the Schindler's List, so I'm going back a long time, I wrote him a letter and I just said, congratulations. I reminded him how I was and that he'd inspired me to take the leap of faith. And he wrote me a letter back, which I carry in my purse or wallet. And this This is not original because the original is almost like framed and, in a vault. But basically, it's this little tiny scrap of paper. And he just says, I urge you to never, ever lose sight of the intensity and passion that you felt for your craft at that time. And to me, so when I'm struggling with my books and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? I read it and I find I get great inspiration from that because, it meant a lot that he would write to me. Of course, he's like God now. You can't get anywhere near him. But at the time, it was something that was very special to me. So I keep it with me at all times.
Yeah, and so amazing that he would take the time because even back then, I mean, he's a mega director and like A-list Hollywood celebrity. That he would take the time to send you a personal note is amazing.
I know, and it was sent by messenger, which was terribly exciting because I worked at New Line Cinema at the time, and I was just like a regular assistant, and they said, "Oh, this is a messenger from Amblin, as it was at the time." But yeah, so I've held that close to me for so many years now because it's it has to be 25 maybe. I'm trying to think, 19. I can't remember how long ago it was, but there was also another reason why he might have remembered me because when this was something I covered recently was because I did actually give the entire plane food poisoning accidentally, but that's I think another reason why he probably remembered. Not that I meant to do that.
Your notorious memories for that
one. Exactly. So that probably has something to do with it. But yeah. So
that's awesome. Okay, moving on. Everyone's loving this, by the way. What is your number 2? It might have something to do with a ghost.
Oh, yes. Now, I have to say that I'm open-minded about whether there's spirits and stuff in the other world. So I apologize ahead of time if I say something and, everyone sort of like signs off because I think I'm crazy. But I actually did have an experience in my cottage when I lived in England the first time. I lived in an old, it used to be a butcher's shop. It sounds rather creepy already. It was like a 16th century little house on a village green where they used to sell, meat. And in fact, where the original butcher's shop was, they just boarded it up, and it was just as it was, the day everything happened. So, but this guy, he was buried in the churchyard, and his name was Thomas Jeffrey. He was 18, and he accidentally sliced through his femoral artery. Really bad, really sad. And when I moved in, the guy who lived next door, who was a lay preacher at the church, he said, if you see Thomas, he said, just say hi. He said he's totally friendly. And it was the fact that he was like a man of the cloth as well.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. So one night I'd actually, I think my boyfriend had dumped me or something horrible. And I was, as one does, vacuuming, crying. Because you can vacuum. It's really good.
Yes.
I think I must have disturbed something because I hadn't ever felt him around. And in the middle of the night, I just must add that my daughter was staying with her dad at the time. My cat started making these really weird yowling noises, and I thought there was another cat in the house. So I went into the room where I could hear it all, and she was her eyes were out on stalks, just like a Tom and Jerry, how the Tom and Jerry cat, and the tail up, and the room was really, really, really cold. So it was like icy cold. And then there was this image that just it materialized in the doorway. I never forget it. And it's like, if you imagine in Star Trek, where they beam you up and down, Scotty, would you go and there are all those molecules that like whiz around. So I could see through him, but I saw form. So that was scary. And then after that, he hung around for quite a while, and then it started to freak me out a bit because all the taps would turn on at the same time and, odd things. And so I had him exorcised by Lewis Spiritualist Society, and they came along and lit candles and sent him on his way. So,
did you say hi to him though? Did you wave and you were like, hey?
I did talk to him, and I found it was some kind of weird, I got this interest in, is he going to be around when I get home? I could feel it. The poor cat. The cat was fine afterwards, but I think if the cat hadn't alerted me, because cats see these types of things. So.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of interesting actually, and I think I may have used it in one of my books. I can't remember now. I finished a book and I don't remember what I've written.
I know. I have that problem too. I have like a vague memory of one of the Honeychurch. Maybe isn't there a ghost?
Oh yeah. There is actually.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Yes. Thank you.
But if
So
not, maybe he'll appear on an island. I mean, a ghost on an island really works too. Yeah.
He could. I mean, there's definitely loads of stuff around here.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And you always get that prickly feeling. But,
I know that
again,
feeling well.
is to those who are, listening who think I'm crazy. But anyway.
No, everybody says they're loving it. They're cracking up. Okay, so moving on to number 3, this takes us back to our collective Portland roots. I was talking in the beginning that we first met when we were both living in Portland, and then we separated for village life. I don't know if I can technically call Ashland a village, but I like to pretend.
Oh, it is. It's not. It's so
right?
pretty. I love Ashland. Yeah, I would definitely have settled there, I think.
I know. Okay, so you participated in Mortified, which I know well as a former Portlander, but tell everyone who doesn't know.
I was going, what was my 5? It's awful, isn't it? Yes, I did actually. It was so much fun. And I read my teenage diary of when I was a carnival princess. I think it was when Miss Basingstoke, 1974. And I know, it's so cheesy. And my mom makes me wear the sash still, which is really weird.
Smart.
Having a little kind of cup of tea with her wearing it. She said, just put it on for me. So I do, So I had to read them out from my diaries, which were literal. So it wasn't like it's scripted or anything. I mean, the organizers will go through your entries and put them together. So there's not too much of how much you love David Bowie or something. It's more like that. But I did enjoy doing it. There was this sort of strange part where I actually let the town down, and that was mortifying in many ways, because as part of being representing Basingstoke, and if anybody knows Basingstoke in England, you'll know how awful it is. It's really grim actually. So yes, I had to represent the town, going to some sort of cave or wine bar. I was only 16, and they kept giving me this sangria stuff, which is right. I know, and of course I was nervous and I didn't feel well, and it got onto the front page of the Basingstoke Gazette, and it said, "Our Queen, town shamed." Those are the town shamed. So I've always shied away from the camera, actually. So.
Everyone's wondering if you could go get the sash. I mean, I sort of feel like if we're having this conversation.
I think I have it. Hang on, I think where I've done.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I think I have it in a drawer, actually.
I love it. Okay, moving on to your number 4, Ms. Shamey Shamer. You have a very special typewriter in your possession,
yes,
I do believe.
I do. I'm very excited about it. I don't know if I move my camera, you might be able to see it. Shall I try?
Okay. Try, yeah.
It's just like.
Oh,
can you see?
There it is. Yeah, we can see it, and all your beautiful books.
Here, I dusted before that, just in case you said yes. Let's see it.
Yeah,
I'll be prepared. Yes, this is another like a shaggy dog story, which I'll keep short, hopefully. But I met a very special woman who, unfortunately, she passed away in January, but she was 105.
Wow.
And I met her because I was doing research for one of my Honeychurch books. There are these very small pocket bears, soldier bears, that the soldiers in World War I used to put in their pockets to go when they went over the top. They were mascot bears, and there's a little sort of following of people that would have the originals right from 1914 or whatever. And so Diana, I found her on the internet that she had some original ones, so I went to meet her, and she was extraordinary because she was still living on her own. She opened the door to me. She was just amazing, and we struck up a friendship. And then in passing, she said, father used to write mysteries and detective mysteries and stuff. And it turned out he was like this huge golden age author his name's George Goodchild. He's written over 200 books. So, I mean, I know. And it was just like the way she said, oh, he used to write a little bit,
No big deal. Yeah.
And then sort of shortly before, I think she moved, I had to go into a nursing home for various reasons. I just said, what happened to his typewriter? Because she gave me pictures of him standing at sitting at the typewriter. I said, oh, we have it. I went, I thought I was going to have I said, do you need anyone? She said, oh, it's in the attic. Nobody cares about that. And I said,
Oh.
please give it to me. Please give it to me. So I'm looking after it for the family. They made it clear that, of course, I will give it back. But it's unbelievably heavy. I can hardly lift it myself because it's not from 1945.
Yeah.
And it's so heavy. But I'm hoping maybe that's what's happening to me. Maybe that's why I'm writing more.
Oh,
because I'm
you
channeling.
have. Yeah. Maybe it's a typewriter ghost.
It could, that might be it, because I couldn't figure out. It's just like I have to keep going.
Are you actually writing on the typewriter?
No, I'd love to though.
Yeah, I know. I can't either.
Close by that does renovate old typewriters, and I'd really like to do it because I did learn when I was an obituary reporter, which is my other first series. We all learned, that's what I typed on, was an old I think it was like an Olympia. It's like playing the organ.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was always running out of paper because I made so many mistakes, because you just have to do whiteout, and there were 4 carbon copies for every story. I was dreadful, actually.
I know. And now, because I learned, well, I didn't learn on a traditional typewriter, but we had keyboarding in high school.
Oh.
That was like, the precursor to computer stuff. But spell check. It's so embedded in me now. I might have a hard time on a typewriter, just timing wise.
I do think, and I wonder whether this is true of Agatha Christie as well, is that because there wasn't the luxury of just, the delete button.
Yeah.
And paper wasn't something you could just like toss out at will, because
Sure.
it was expensive. I'm wondering if there was that way of becoming much more, getting in the flow more, because I do find that I do stop all the time. I can't even write a tweet straight off. I have to spend 5 minutes like rewording it.
Yeah.
And so I wonder whether that's also another reason how they could churn out so many books in that time.
That totally makes sense. Joanne says she learned to type on her parents' old Royal manual typewriter.
Oh, good. Because I am touch type, as they called it in my day. A touch type. We weren't allowed to. There were no letters on the keys at all.
Huh.
So I do it. Yeah. So I'm sure some other people would do that. So I'm pretty fast on that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so last but not least, your number 5. What's your 5 that you want to share with us? It could have could it have to do with your very first story about 2 sisters who solve a murder?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe I sent my 5 to you like a week ago, and I've already forgotten what they were. This is really strange, actually. Sort of, I suppose when I got back, my mum had moved, and so my sister had got the box of stuff, because from my mum's attic and stuff. And she went through it and she gave me a story and she said, look, and of course, I actually can't find it now. Can you believe it? I did put it somewhere. I can't find it now. And in the story, she said, you always wanted to be a writer because look, you wrote this story when you were 12. And it says it's about 2 sisters who discover a dead gamekeeper.
Oh,
really, in a forest.
That's very sophisticated for 12. Yeah.
It was well, actually. I was quite surprised. And then it had that one sister was scatterbrained and the other was practical. And I thought that was kind of saying, in a kind of way, they are so different in Death at High Tide. So I think I did sort of tap into that. But I was really surprised because I had actually plotted the entire book out, even though, it wasn't bad, but I thought that was interesting because I'd totally forgotten. And I know why now, because shortly after she gave me that, she said, oh, and here's that rejection letter from from Women's Own magazine. I think I'd written a love story at 12. I mean, I was into horses and my dolls still, you know.
Right, right.
And it was a short story I'd written in and mailed to a woman's magazine, and it had red pen across it, and it just said no, and they sent it.
Oh,
And I actually think I decided to stop even doing that, and I put it all away. So
how dare they?
I know, interesting.
Crushing
Yeah,
a 12-year-old's dream?
I know. I feel like I want to do a Julia Roberts and try and find that woman and say
Yeah.
big mistake.
Big mistake. Big mistake. Look at me now.
Yeah,
Bring the
exactly.
Steven Spielberg letter in and just be like, look, Steve knew. He saw the potential.
I had a sign from the ghost. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got
that's right.
good Charles
It all
typewriter.
comes together.
Must never trust Spain again. So I think those are my 5.
Oh, well done. I this is why we're kindred spirits, though. I mean, I don't have any interaction with Steven Spielberg. I do believe in some creepy ghosts, and I too wrote my first mystery, I think, when I was in 3rd grade. And it was clearly a cozy because nothing scary happened. Like their bikes broke down in this creepy mansion, and then they found bike repair kits and like rode off happily ever after. But there is something I think about like remembering, and I think it's sort of rewarding and kind of validating to go, oh wait, no, even at this young age, this was inside of me. Like that's huge.
Well, look it's been percolating for all these years. I honestly do not remember writing that at all.
Yeah.
But I do remember the setting though, because setting is always very important to me, because especially if it's something like atmospheric. And it was in a forest, and there was a deserted, derelict like village that had people. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe they all died and left. I'm not sure. But
That was a gamekeeper.
horror movie or something, but that clearly stuck with me, I think. So
I love that. I just missed the comments are coming through so fast, but someone said, this is so delightful. My indigestion is gone away after a week. So thank you, Hannah. There you go.
Oh, so sweet. Thank you. Oh, that's very sweet.
Okay, now we're coming to the portion where I ask you my 5 questions. And I feel like you should take a drink of wine because these are going to be hard hitting. Just,
Okay.
No, they're not really. You know me. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
And actually, I got to say to everybody, while I'm going through my 5 questions for Hannah, if you have specific questions for her too, put them in the comments because as we talk about, there's a little delay. So we'll go back through. The tech guy is going to watch the comments. So if you have specific questions for her, shoot them at us. Okay. My number 1 for you is, what do you think is the most unexpected thing that you found in your mystery writing career? Like what's been surprising to you being a mystery writer?
My kindred spirits, without a doubt. The friends I made you. I have this whole community of people that I just adore, and I don't feel I'm weird anymore because I have people that understand me. I know it sounds weird. That was something I didn't expect at all. I didn't expect the support from other mystery writers, which I think is quite I don't think all the genres are in that same way, but in my experience, that I haven't come across a single writer that hasn't been supportive or wanted to help in some way. It's amazing community. Yeah, that was unexpected.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's so true. And you really are a champion at welcoming people into the community too. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah, I know what it's like to be starting out. And Carolyn Hart was my biggest. She was so sweet. I know that she's also loved your book, I think. Did Carolyn Hart? I think she's one of your champions too, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
While we're on that topic, Genevieve is asking, who's your favorite all-time author?
Gosh, that's a hard one because every genre is that I do read lots of different genres. And I will say this, I can say my favorite book, which is a book that I would always take if I was depressed, is, and probably you'll not have heard of it. It's I Captured the Castle by Dodie Smith.
I love that book so much.
It's the best book. I'm sitting here writing this in the kitchen sink or something. Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. So I think, yes, I definitely go through phases.
Hmm.
And I think I read all of Mary Stewart's books, all of MMK, and Georgette Heyer, those I think. And now, of course, I'll forget. And then there's this Ellie Alexander. I don't know if you've heard of her, but
Stop.
yeah, yeah, she's really good.
No, you don't get to say that. Okay, we're moving on to number two then. But if you haven't read I Capture the Castle, like go to your library, go to your bookstore, get it this weekend. It's perfection in every way, and it's writerly. The dad is a struggling writer, and the kids are just quirky but so beautiful. And I think I first read it, I want to say like post college, and then I read it again in my late 30s, and it definitely holds up.
It does hold up. And the other funny thing about this book was I didn't realize that she wrote 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's the author, and apparently I don't think she was terribly nice. So,
Well,
but
Cruella
but it's
Deville, maybe it was a little.
I'm pretty sure she wrote 101 Dalmatians. If anyone's like Googling right now to confirm it, that would be great. But I'm almost sure she did write that. Yeah.
Oh my
And of
gosh, I
course,
never knew
I
that.
have to add all some other people. Like I just love Jane Austen because I find her funny,
Yeah,
amusing, her tongue-in-cheek humor and stuff.
totally.
So anyway, sorry, go ahead. I'm just sidetracking.
Okay, moving on to number two. What do you think is the biggest myth in mystery writing?
What that you become overnight millionaires?
Yeah,
Um,
thank you. Yes. We're
uh,
all just rolling in, those limos and
the biggest myth in mystery writing. I find that a hard question to answer because I might have to phone a friend
no, I
or have
mean,
a line.
I think you answered it. It's the idea of like I think a lot of people do think, you get a book contract and you're an immediate millionaire, which is not usually how it works.
I do find, and I also find this is like because I had, of course, an ounce of wine so far, so I can be sort of brave. But I'm always surprised at when someone actually asks me how much money I make, and
Oh,
that I find that really extraordinary because I
yeah.
wouldn't ask them. But I guess as a writer, it's different. I don't know really, but
Yeah.
that also throws me slightly.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
never
good. Okay,
say.
Terry says she just looked and she did write
Oh,
101
good,
Dalmatians. Okay. I
excellent,
had no
excellent.
idea. Now I sort of
No,
want to go back and reread 101 Dalmatians like through a new lens.
I have not read 100 Mile Dalmatians. I only watched
Huh.
it Disney
Yeah, right.
variety. So I would like to watch it too. I wonder how. Yeah, I bet that would be really interesting how she wrote that. Hmm.
Fascinating. Because I don't, anyway, we could talk about I Capture the Castle forever. Let's move on to number three. This is always a question that comes up, especially because I know a lot of people who are here with us today are working on mysteries themselves. What's your
Oh yeah.
best advice for anyone who wants to write a mystery?
To write a mystery, definitely to read a lot. I also recommend, coming from a screenwriting background, I always think that watching your favorite movie over and over again and seeing how all the different plot points break down, so you're watching
Mhm.
it through a different lens.
Yeah,
That's helpful because so much of it is structure, even though so that I think that's where um, people give up because they run out of steam. They give up after 50 pages because I'm sorry, I'm jabbering now because I get excited about these questions. Definitely on a ground, a ground level, spend loads and loads of time on your characters, loads of time making your characters before you even start chapter one.
yes,
Because I've found that whenever I'm stuck in any part of my book, it's because I just haven't spent time with that character. It could be a secondary character, it doesn't have to be your
right.
main character. Because once you get to know your characters, then they will tell a story for you once you start throwing
Yes,
obstacles, don't you think? So, yeah,
totally.
that's my two things is the characters and watching the actual structure breakdown and finishing your first draft. It doesn't matter how awful, because I throw away about 80% of my first draft. So you just got to get to the end.
You just got to get to the gritty end. It's so
Mhm.
true. Okay, number four. If you had to pick any celebrity who you would absolutely die if you saw them reading your book, who would it be?
I like Renée Zellweger actually, because I always like her and Bridget Jones and stuff like that. I'd love to see that. Yeah, I think her. Of any
What about
celebrity.
Stephen?
Other than Brad, but I don't think Brad would ever read it actually. It's
Yeah. You never know.
But one can dream. One can dream.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, I think someone who, of course, actually, even as I'm saying it now, I realize that there's a subconscious urge to that question.
Yeah, right.
Would you like to make it into
Renee, while you're at it, come to the islands.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're talking about the Darlton Corfu, what's her name again? Who plays Mrs. Darrell?
Oh, she's so good. Have you seen The Bodyguard? She's in The Bodyguard too, and she's
what's her name? Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Someone will tell us.
She is like a chameleon. She can reinvent and morph herself into any sort of character.
Yeah, I mean, to have gone from the Durrells to The Bodyguard, like what? Yeah.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Yeah, so I definitely think I'd go with her since she's British, actually.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess it's very dark here. I apologise. I think it could rain in a minute. So, it's very dark. I don't know if you can still see me sitting here.
We can see you. No, you look great. Okay, are you ready for the last question? These are so hard hitting. Okay, what do you think is the perfect food and drink to pair with your books?
A Chablis.
Okay.
Nice, crisp. Please no, I immediately go for it. Or maybe an elderflower cordial if you drink.
Very British.
Sort of a bit of fizz, sort of Perrier water, and something light actually, like something sort of fish related or something like that. Yeah, I think that I feel that there's sort of light spring type, books.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And a very decadent dessert afterwards. Like
yes. Oh, Audrey got it for us. Keely Hawes.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Is that how you pronounce her last name?
I would never have guessed that name. I had her pegged as a Lisa, but it is Keely Hawes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
She's great. I like her a lot.
I love it. Okay, I saw a couple questions. We got to scroll back up. Someone asked, did you have a writers group like Guppies for Sisters in Crime before you started writing and became an author? Diana's asking.
A long time ago, before I went and did UCLA Writers Extension Program at night. That was how I did my training, if you like.
Yeah.
But before that, I did have a group. There was about 4 of us, and it was fine to start with, but we were all at very different phases in our writing. But it was a good way to be accountable. And I think if you want a writers group, it's being accountable and turning in pages every week that counts.
Yeah, it's true. There's something to be said about that idea of like having to be responsible to have somebody else read your work initially, I think is a good thing. But it's also important to do the work of workshops, the UCLA intensive, that sort of thing too, because that's where you learn structure and how to build characters. And
yeah, I definitely, and I know that you've got a course that you'll start. When is that going live?
Hopefully within the next few days. We're finishing touches on it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think the idea of starting with some people, I've talked a lot about also making sure that the writers who you're sharing your work with initially are people who are going to give you constructive feedback in a kind way too. Not just people who are going to tear apart your work, but who are going to help you grow.
I mean, I know that I think Ellen Crosby and Donna Andrews and Art Taylor, they still have their original writing group that they had, I don't know how many years ago. They still meet and everything, and it's like sacred. But I do agree because I found that with my original group, one person just wouldn't go beyond the 10 pages, and every week it was the same 10. It's you definitely have to pick your people, I think, for that. And then you'll always get someone who perhaps can sort of annihilate you, because you're so, honestly, I still get terribly sensitive about criticism. I mean, it's just you have to sort of put your big girl pants on and just say, is that a fair criticism? Yes or no? Because often it is fair, but
Right.
sometimes it's just mean.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a difference between constructive feedback that's going to help you grow and make you stronger versus
Yeah.
being mean. That's totally two different things. Okay, we have one more question. We have a lot more, but in terms of time, we have one more question to get to, which is from Jess. She wants to know, how long does it take you to write a story, first draft to the final lovely
I
last?
actually have an answer for that, believe it or not. And I know this sounds crazy because I'm obsessed with writing down hours about how long it takes me.
No, that's about you. I know.
I know, it's weird, hey? But I just did it out of curiosity to see whether or not each book would take me how long. And it takes me 700 hours, between 700 and 800 hours. But that's not saying I'm writing all the time. You know, I'll write 2 hours a day. But it also means, because that's right the way through to like thinking up the idea and mapping out the thoughts, research, all that. I think when I start a new series, it's usually a lot more, maybe 900 hours perhaps. But I also find that when I go back to look at my hours and I know where I am in the book I'm at, that's when I panic because I know I can't do it quicker. I just can't do it quicker than that. So then I'm in trouble.
But isn't there some freedom in knowing, like, all right, it's going to be this chunk of time too?
Yeah, I guess so. I think, I'm beginning to get anxious now because I think I need to write the next book already.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, this is a good segue into first of all, thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. You're such a delight, and I'm glad that some new people, it sounds like, got to see the gem that you are in the world. But tell us what's coming next. What's up for book 2? I will be sure to share links to your social so people can go find the book. Book 1 is out now, Death at High Tide.
And then I've got Tidings of Death at Honeychurch Hall comes out in the US in September.
Okay.
So even though you can buy it in the UK and ship it, you know, it's in the US. And then Diva of Death at Honeychurch Hall comes out in November. And then next year is the second book in the Island Sisters mystery, which is Danger at the Cove, which is I'm excited about that. And that will come next August. And then I'm back to on contract writing. So, yeah. So I think I have a couple of weeks to just hoover up the
700 hours. Let's go right now.
Exactly. Look again, see whether or not I can make it quicker. I think it was Nancy Martin, if anyone loved her Blackbird Sisters mysteries or any of those. She said that she knew exactly how long it took her and she could never make it quicker. So maybe that's just me.
No, I think it takes what it takes. I feel the same way. I mean, I don't count my hours, but I know, okay, a first draft's going to take me 6 solid weeks, and then it's going to take me, 2 weeks of edits, and on and on. So yeah.
And I also find that the last 40 pages always take me 3 times longer than I ever think they will.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's like, I've only got 40 pages. Oh, that will be a week, 2 weeks maybe. But then it's like, this is forever. This is really a big job, this last piece.
Yeah, because you're pulling it all together, I think, right?
It's really hard, yeah.
Well, I know from the comments that everyone has loved having you on as a guest. Thank you again. And we'll say bye to Hannah, and then I have a couple things to wrap up. Smooches.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Bye.
Wasn't that so fun? She's the best. And if you have not read her new series, you should definitely go grab a copy of it. And you should also go back and read her Honeychurch series, which is also a delight. I wanted to let you know what's coming up next this coming Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be reading part 4 of our Sloane Krause story collaboration final draft. I have voting going on in the story collaboration private Facebook page. So if you are wanting to vote or lend your input, you can join that right here. And if not, just come listen to the pages as we build another story together. And then I have some other author friends joining me in the next few weeks. Audrey, who is here with us today, is coming up in September, and Jenny and Abby and Leslie and many more. It's so fun to get to spend a Friday for me chatting with my fellow author friends. And I hope that you enjoy it and you learn something new. Hannah, of course, has that great accent, as Penny's saying. So, I mean, how do you not want to listen to her for hours? Plus, her stories are amazing. The last thing I want to share before we wrap up our live for this week is that I have a very fun three-day clue and giveaway starting this afternoon. That's going to lead up to a big reveal. Dun dun dun. I know I can't get away without doing it. It's going to lead up to a big reveal on Monday. There it is. I wonder if you could guess what the reveal is going to be. So I'm going to post a clue on all of my social media pages today, tomorrow, and Sunday leading up to the reveal on Monday. So see if you can guess what I'm going to reveal on Monday in the comments. And I'm going to give away a bunch of fun random prizes like Bake Shop Mystery stickers, a mug, some signed book plates, maybe even a special book. So that's just a little fun teaser for your weekend. And as always, thanks for joining me for another 5 Things Friday author edition with our lovely guest, Hannah. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and you've got some fun reading in store. Bye.